Hey, what's up, turtles? Krik here with Blackout Outdoors. We're going to be taking a look at my home sharpening kit today. I'm going to show you everything I use while I'm at home, keeping my cutting tools sharp, and we're going to go through it all. I'm going to talk about the price and sort of why I chose everything that I use. To start, we have the DMT Duo Sharp sort of bench stone diamond system. And this is the package it came in. I got this at, I think that store Woodcraft, and this is right around $100. You can get this for the two-sided diamond stone, and the base comes with this. And you can see all the potential possibilities within this Duo Sharp system, and what I have, you can see is checked here, is the fine and extra fine and their corresponding grit. And even with the fine being, what does that say, 600, I can still get a decent amount of material removed, being that it's a fine as opposed to the, extra coarse, and coarse, which ideally I would like to have, but in a perfect world, I would have it. I have unlimited funds, as most of us are, so this is what I have, this is what I use, and I make the best with it. Here's what it looks like. I think they said this is 8 by 2 5/8, just the size. This is the base. So what we have here, this is the green. It's color coded, so this is the finer of the two that I have, the extra fine, and this is the green little sticker that helps me figure that out. And it's really nice having this because I can just flip this base over, and there's sort of two little points, pinch points, excuse me. There's two down this end, push them in, sort of clicked open. Might not be able to hear it, and there's two at this end. And what that does on the other side is it picks this up, and I can slide that out, and I flip it over, and that's red now. So usually I'll start with the red, depending on what I'm doing. If I'm sharpening, sharpening is that there might be some damage on the edge of the tool, whatever tool I'm doing, so I'll actually sharpen it with this, and I will show you the strop, but in most instances you can really just get away with honing your knife again and using a strop. So I'm going to get this back on the base and sort of show you the technique I use if I am going to be sharpening a knife. Locked into place, good to go. So I have my favorite companion knife on me. This is actually my design. I had custom built by a knife maker. But it's a Scandi grind on here. And I'll just show you just the technique, because this isn't a how-to video on how to sharpen a knife. I've already done one of those. Just to reiterate, I do not bring this system out into the woods with me. I did it today for obviously filming this video, because where would you rather be right now, right? Okay, but some of the basics are: put the knife flat, roll it up to the bevel is making solid contact with the sharpening stone, and then pull towards you, picking up the butt of the knife to accommodate for the curve. Swoop in the belly of the blade, and just continue that. And I'll just keep repeating this, excuse me. And don't critique my technique on this. I'm doing it just for demonstrative purposes. This is not how I'm going to usually sit at home to do this. I just want to show you in case you're unfamiliar. But it's important to keep the bevel consistent pressure, move through it, and do that. I'll do one side, and I've mentioned in other videos before, when I'm doing something that's sort of skill-based, that I'm really trying to increase the coordination on the left side of my body. So instead of to do the other side of the blade, excuse me, instead of flipping the knife over and keeping it in my right hand and going this way away from me, I'll put it in my left hand and do the same thing, draw it towards me, and do that. And when I am using these diamond stones, I will put water on here as a medium to help suspend the metal I'm taking off of here, the alloy, and it just helps it continue to cut and sharpen better by putting that medium on there. And I'll just do the same thing, keep the bevel consistent, do even number of passes on each side, depending on the damage or nicks or rolls, whatever's on the blade. And I'll do that, left hand here, switch it over, and do it with my right hand as well. And this knife is really sharp. It's very sharp, but I'm just showing you in case you're not familiar with sharpening a knife. You never know who's watching, right? The next part of my system for sharpening my cutting tools is once I'm happy with the edge and the sharpness I get from my diamond stones, then I move to a leather strop with compound on it. And I'll show you the compound I use in a minute, but this is a leather strop two-sided from DLT Trading. And there's two pieces of leather. I just have them floating right now. You can see one side would have a piece of leather, other side would have a piece of leather, and that's nice if you're using different grits of sharpening compound. You can put, coarser on one side and a finer to move through the succession of going to a finer grit as you go through the sharpness of the blade. But both of these pieces of leather were really, or they just needed tended or cared, because there was a lot of metal on them from stropping. A lot of my knives, my cutting tools for leather, I strop them a lot. So there's a lot of videos online looking for how you should, take care of the leather, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But what I did, I found the best way. I just ripped them off. And what that allowed me to do is sort of bend the leather. And a lot of the stuff came off of it really, really nice. If you really want to see an in-depth video on stropping or leather care or anything like that, you can let me know. This is just touching on what I use and sort of how I use it. And I never got around to putting it back on, because it doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to get the job done. And I will show you though how I strop. So if you remember when I was using the stones, I was drawing it towards me, sort of cutting into the stone. With leather and stropping, you can do the complete opposite as you take it away from you. Same principle applies. You want to keep the bevel nice and or make contact with the surface consistently, same pressure, and pull it away from you, because you'll cut into leather if you try to bring it towards you. I'll do this for any given number of passes depending on the day and my mood on each side. And I'll switch to my left hand again, because I want to be balanced physically, mentally, spiritually, all that. Use my left hand, do the same thing. There's something very therapeutic about sharpening a tool, and the satisfaction of using it then once you get it super sharp. Just a joy to use. So I'll keep doing this. Sometimes I'll go like 10 on each side, then 8, then 6, and work down that way. 10 passes, excuse me if that wasn't clear. Consistent pressure. Sometimes I'll work down the strop too. And we'll get a piece of wood at the end of this just to make sure this knife's still sharp. These products have worked really well for me for as long as I've had them. And like I said, if I had money to buy whatever I wanted, I'd probably make some different purchases. I might get some extra fine diamonds for the base, or some diamond stones for the base, but this is what I have, this is what I use, and I get pretty good results, so nothing's really pressing. That's basically all there is to it with using the strop. I will get out the compound and show you the compound I use and talk a little bit about that right now. Here's a big bar of white compound. This is Bark River. Bark River makes this, and I bought it all together with that DLT Strop from DLT Trading. This is white, and usually compounds you'll have like white, red, green, and black. And what that means, the colors usually denote their grit, or their, I guess how much grit they are. So what my stones are 600, 1200, and I think the white's 12,000. You can get a mirror polish off this, assuming you have the leather loaded pretty well with compound. But once I start using it for a while, it's hard to get a mirror polish off of a used strop. But this was, I think, $15 just for the white, and the strop was, I believe the double-sided paddle strop was around 25, 30 bucks. So we have $40 sitting right here, and then I said around 100 for the Duo Sharp. So it's $140 my sharpening system. But it's imperative, if you're going to be using knives a lot and you're really getting into it, or those of you who have been doing this for years, you understand that it's important to have the skill to maintain your tools. Maintenance is just as important as, or probably more important than the product or the knife itself, if that makes sense, because you know, a lot of us get caught up in what type of knife should I have, what knife I do have, what do you use, and that's all fun. We all like, you know, we all like gear, and that's great, but the most important thing is maintaining your tools and being outside and using them. So to load the leather strop, this is what you do. Just take the bar and just rub on it. This really doesn't, I don't really think this piece of leather needs it. I could probably use that little cleaner piece, but that's all right. And you just do this and basically just put it on. I've even tried different ways to get a really nice, even consistent load. Doing this by taking like a hair dryer and warming up the leather a little bit and warming this up, because this is almost like a waxy feel. It's like a hard wax. And a lot of the stuff I learned is trial and error. So hopefully you can learn a little bit of something about by what I'm showing. But this is a really hard, waxy feel. So sometimes, like I said, I'll warm this up and warm the leather up just a little bit. And I've had good results with that. But you know, every time I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly trying new techniques, doing different things. So maybe something I say this week in this video, maybe 3 months, a month from now, I do something completely different. And that's just the nature of it, by constantly learning and trying new things. So try things out, see if you get good results. If you're happy with your results, you know, don't let anyone tell you it's wrong. Continue doing this. And like I said, this leather's been pretty heavily used, so you're really not seeing too much of the compound go on, but this is essentially all you do. Let's do a couple more passes on the strop, and then we'll get a piece of wood, and we'll see if this knife is still sharp. Is that 2 or 3? I don't know. 4, we'll say 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, a little tip since I'm here. At the end of this motion, keep the tip on the strop. Don't pull it off. Don't do anything goofy like that. When I'm stopped, make sure there's contact for a little bit and stop. Stop, fly, get off. Alright, let's just call that good. Let's see what happens. Now one more. Alright, let's get a little piece of wood. I'd say it's still pretty sharp, right? Look at that little curl. Whoa, look at how small that one is. And a good test, you know, people do paper tests, they see if they can shave their arm. There's a whole slew of tests you can do to see how sharp your knife is, but basically, whatever your intended purpose of the knife is, you're going to be woodworking, test it on a piece of wood after you're finished with your process of sharpening and or honing, and test it on that to see if the feedback is adequate for what you want to do. But I'm happy with this. Just to recap everything I use, in case you forgot, because you were so hypnotized by my soothing tone. Duo Sharp, 600, 1200 on each side. If there is damage on my edges, this is when I'll use this. Most times, you know, 80, 90% of the time, I only go with the leather strop. So if there's damage on my edge, I'll use this, get it, fix up all that damage, then go to the strop. If I've just been using my tool for a while and it's lost some of its dullness, no damage, just go right to the strop, bring it back. And this is just the compound I use, just the white, the 1200. I believe it's 1200 grit for the white, or somewhere around there. You can be really creative excuse me, with sharpening and stropping. I've seen people use all types of unconventional type materials to sharpen and strop. So if you're on a budget like I am, and this is pretty expensive for me because for the longest time I wasn't using anything near as nice as these diamond bench stones. So you can get really creative. There's a lot of videos online. There's a lot of very skilled people making videos on how to sharpen knives, and while I think I'm pretty good at it, I can get a knife pretty dang sharp and shaving sharp, there's people that are a lot more skilled than me. So if you're one of those more skilled people, let me know some of the techniques, or maybe some unconventional materials you can use. I know people have tried to use denim, cardboard for stropping, you know, ceramic, glass, all that type of stuff. You know, let me know. If you have any questions about anything I've went over, leave a comment. Always willing to answer comments if I have the time. I apologize. In the recent past, I've been very busy, and I'm trying to go back and answer as many comments as I can. So I just want to apologize if I haven't gotten to your comment yet. I am trying my hardest. But either way, I hope the scenery was beautiful and you enjoyed the video. This is Krik signing out with Black Owl Outdoors. Peace out, turtles.